plus the big star would be the Real American Voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome to this American Sunrise, live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning.
Good morning.
And live from our studios in Denver, Colorado. So good to see each and every one of you on this full week here in July. In fact, I think this is the first full work week in July, no?
I don't know. I worked most of the last week. I don't
feel
know.
like we worked
Because of
We
July
did have
4th
Monday
holiday.
too.
Yeah, we had Monday
July
and
4th.
Tuesday off.
Okay.
I'm just scared to say anything. You get this gangster suit. I don't know what you got under there. You know, it's like you just show up on Monday morning like I'm ready to go.
Well, I am ready to go. I missed you guys over the weekend, so I figured I'd show up here and be ready to go. I'm all in, brother. I'm all in. Especially since our Rockies are going to beat your New York Yankees at the end of this week. They'll be playing. But we'll talk about that later. We can talk about that later.
We'll talk about. We'll have to have a bet or something like that. I know we'll have some chicken nuggets on the line. How about Joe Biden? Let's start with him this morning. It's always hard to decipher what he's saying. This time, he was talking about being a child and listening to his parents' headboard. I was going to add more, but I don't need to.
Yeah.
And the boys, quote unquote, now the princess, my sister, had her own bedroom, as she should have. But the three boys there were two sets of bunks in the other room, and there was a closet that ran as you walked up the stairs, walked straight down the hall. You went into, quote, the boys' room, the three of us. And on the left, there was a closet in that whole wall. My parents' bed headboard was against where that closet was. And every once in a while, rarely, you could hear sort of a restlessness going on. You know? Rarely,
Terrance, rarely.
Every now and then, you could hear this kind of restless boom, boom. Yeah.
What? He didn't say boom, boom.
I had to add some artistic, but I think we all have the mental picture, no? Or is it maybe it's just me?
I just don't. I mean, I think the most charitable explanation would be that he was saying they were restless and maybe they were concerned about the economic welfare of the family and they would sleep restlessly, and that's. But I'm being charitable.
I don't know. I think it's some sort of a Freudian slip if that's what he meant for sure.
It was very rare, though. It was very rare. Poor Mr. Biden, the late departed Mr. Biden. It was very rare. In any event, then Joe Biden decided, before taking this trip to Europe, where he is now, he's going to meet with King Charles in a couple of hours, decided to have a beach day.
Of course.
Took his shirt off, was wandering. Can you believe this is the president?
No, I can't. It's heartbreaking, actually.
Look, there he is. We're going to get to some other video later where President Trump was at a UFC fight, like dominating, like walking in.
Can somebody help him with his chair, please? This poor old man, he's trying to pull the chair out of his hand. Somebody needs to get up and help him.
Terrance, what are your thoughts?
You know what? Here's what's most surprising. Well, I don't know if it's surprising or not, but typically one would expect that if a president were on a public beach or even a beach that has some folks there, people would come up to the president, try to talk to him, take pictures. It seems like no one even cares. Like, it's just.
Well, they must have marked it off or something, I wonder.
I mean, one would think that they kept it semi-private, but still, you see a lot of people milling around, and I can't imagine all those folks are just family members. Some of those have got to be just regular beachgoers, and it doesn't seem like anyone's even concerned.
Where was Hunter, by the way?
maybe they're toting around a lot of people with them, and we're paying for it as taxpayers.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd like to see those flight logs.
Beach day for the Bidens. I wonder where Hunter was. We'll get to Hunter because I don't know if you saw this, but this is a more serious deal where Jean-Pierre at the podium. Okay, Clay Travers was pointing out how bad she is at her job. She actually got caught lying and saying that like Hunter and Joe were not at the White House a couple Fridays ago, right before the cocaine appeared. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there are all these pool reports showing they were at the White House on Friday before leaving for Camp David.
Wasn't there video? Wasn't that when Jill was on the balcony? Like, wasn't that all
that
around
was
the
then
same
when
time?
they came back from
that was
Camp
when they
David.
Came back.
And Hunter was like running around the balcony looking weird. But I think we got a soundbite. Here's Jean-Pierre. Days and days after the cocaine was found, she still can't get her story straight. Watch.
There has been some irresponsible reporting about the family. And so I got to call that out here. And I have been very clear. I was clear 2 days ago when talking about this over and over again as I was being asked a question. As you know, and media outlets reported this, the Biden family was not here. They were not here. They were at Camp David. They were not here Friday. They were not here Saturday. They were not here Sunday. They were not even here Monday. They came back on Tuesday. So to ask that question is actually incredibly irresponsible. And I'll just leave it there.
Right, but to have that much outrage,
her whole lean, her whole demeanor in that defensive sort of let me tell you something attitude that she has, and then she says nothing. It's just pathetic.
Well, worse than nothing, since she lies, because she said they were not even here on Friday, and as we laid out, they were there on Friday. Now, I'm not saying that solves the whole case, Terrance.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to have the attitude Karen's talking about, get the facts right.
Be accurate. And here's the other thing. Don't be outraged about the press pool asking tough questions. I mean, the outrage should be that cocaine was found in the White House. That's what you should be outraged about. And let's get to the bottom of who it belongs to, unless you already know who it belongs to.
Well, about 10 days have passed and we don't know.
You want this woman to do her job, Terrance? You want her to do her job?
We
you
pay her
expect that she's
salary.
going to get up to the podium and be the press secretary, and the press is going to ask her questions, and I don't know what she's going to answer them intelligently?
I'm sorry.
Wow,
shame
that's a
on
high
me.
bar.
Shame on me
High
that
bar.
I would expect any staffer in the White House to do his or her job. Shame on me. I don't know what I'm thinking. You know, I'm in my own kind of la-la land every now and then when it comes to our taxpayer money and how it's being spent and the services we should get for that.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
no cocaine found in Iowa as President Trump on Friday gave a hell of a speech, had a great crowd. We had Beard Vet and other great patriots there. And afterwards, he decided to get a little blizzard.
Of course.
On to Dairy Queen. Watch. So it's a little bit like when he was at Waffle House there a couple of weeks ago, out on the road. But then he goes inside, Karen, and he buys blizzards for everybody. And he's actually handing them out.
It's so good. He's just so real. It's just nobody else does this. And I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked that no other candidates have adopted this philosophy of going out and talking to real American voices.
We're going to get to that in a second.
Pitch.
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ed,
we're going to get to
Go
that.
ahead.
Well, let's show Trump first, and then we'll answer Karen's question. You're right. You're paying attention. Look at Trump.
We know who won. We're bringing it back to the plane. We're bringing it back, right? I'll pass it down. Anybody want one back there with the...
And Karen, you know what it's like when he's got a dinner going at Mar-a-Lago or whatever, he slips into hospitality mode.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have what you need? Do you have what you need? And so it played out as well here because he started talking to the employees at one point. We'll show one more video and said,
We need a
you got
spoon."
spoons? Where's the spoons? Get them the spoons. Watch.
Back to the train. We're bringing it back, right? That looks good. Here you go.
I'll pass it down.
Anybody want one back there with the... Do they need... I think they need... We're going to give you some... Thank you, Donald. Look at this guy.
Thank you, Donald. How excited were they?
Love it. It's great. And, I guess you have to drink it. It's not like something you can keep and, put on your shelf in your house.
That's right. Like Donald Trump handed me this blizzard.
Right. You know what? Even though I'm not going to lie, if I got a Donald Trump Dairy Queen Blizzard, I might try to preserve it and sell it on eBay to see how much I can get for it. Because it's kind of a unique thing. I'd immediately go home, put it in the icebox, and try to preserve it.
Wait a second. The icebox?
I'm sorry.
Is that what you call it?
Freezer, icebox. You guys don't call it
Icebox.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
I like that. I do like it. It's a throwback.
I like it.
So
Yeah.
Karen asked, why are others not doing this? Well, some MAGA folks had fun. What if Top Gov Ron DeSantis did it? Greetings from the free state of Florida, Dairy Queen. I would like to purchase blizzards, please. And they superimposed DeSantis in a... That would be the way Ron would do it.
You know what? I like how his head's smaller than his body in here. I like how he has like a shrunken head. That's pretty good. That's crafty.
Terrance, I'm from the free state of Florida, and I would like to purchase blizzards, please. That does sound something like DeSantis.
The internet is undefeated. That is hilarious. And he might even mispronounce it, like blizzards, or would it be hurricanes? What are these called here? What are these streets
Well, I
called?
would say also, in fairness, though, Donald Trump, there's another video that we didn't show where he came in and said, what are these things? Blizzards or something? And some who don't like Trump are saying, he doesn't even know what a blizzard is. I mean, maybe he hasn't been to Dairy Queen recently. He doesn't drive his own car. He's got Secret Service. But the point is, he went in there, embraced it, and started buying them and handing them out. So anyway.
I've never seen, a president or a former president that's gone out there and done things like this. And the fashion that he does it, just so off the cuff and unplanned. Just like, hey, I want to stop over here at Dairy Queen and talk to these real Americans. Let me out of the car.
Well, and you just reminded me, you're right. Biden does go to ice cream shops, but he just buys himself a cone. He doesn't hand anything out to anybody.
And then he wanders around awkwardly licking that cone.
I don't even want to respond to that. In the meantime, what's with Kevin McCarthy? Laura Loomer, a big Trump supporter, has this. He's now saying he will not endorse President Trump. Karyn, Trump went to the mat for this guy when he was on the 15 ballots. And you see Loomer going after, you've got DeSantis and his son now working for, McCarthy's got a son working for a DeSantis donor. Got MTG aiding McCarthy. MTG's in a lot of hot water right now. She's
really
kicked out of the Freedom Caucus. And I'm just asking, what is going on? Because if you look at our next one, Steve Bannon was going to have a lot to say about this at 10 a.m., said McCarthy is now on the clock with the Freedom Caucus, and there's letters that are flying around. Freedom Caucus, they've already booted out MTG, as I said, from that Freedom Caucus. Maybe it's just symbolic and whatnot, but now they're putting conditions on the line, guys. How can McCarthy not back Trump? He says he wants to avoid a messy primary, blah, 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 blah. Trump could have sat on the sidelines when he was hanging in the balance for speaker, but he put his
faith.
Yeah.
His faith. But you know what? Donald Trump, look at the wins that Donald Trump's had in the endorsements he's made and the good things that have happened. He's going to have some bad apples. There's nothing that you can do when you have that many people that are relying on you.
Yeah, and this move isn't going to help Kevin McCarthy because just this week, he's going to have to start dealing with some real financial issues and some budgetary issues on Congress. We're going to talk more about that. But a lot of the more conservative members of the House Freedom Caucus and the GOP in general are really going to be pushing McCarthy on some real significant spending cuts. And either he's going to have to acquiesce or he might have to get his something else that starts with an A out.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
There you go. I think it's time to go down the rabbit hole with Karyn. All right. It's bad enough these AI robots maybe taking over the world, Karyn, but apparently they had a summit.
They did.
There's a robot ambassador who had a robot summit. And they had to robot-splain to us what's going on? That sounds like robot-splaining to me.
Wait, this gets even worse. Did you know that there was a robot ambassador to the UN? Were you aware? To the UN. There is a robot ambassador, and this is what this is all about. This summit came out of sort of this United Nations thing of embracing technology, including creating a robot ambassador, if you can believe that.
I saw a story this morning, Terrance, that said something like it's pretty soon up to 99% of the information on the internet is going to be AI generated, artificial intelligence. What's the point?
Well, everything can be completely manipulated.
Exactly, and
that's
people are concerned.
That's the main concern. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ed. I just want to say that information can be manipulated, and AI could put out all kinds of information that we take for gospel, and it's really AI generated for God knows what.
I mean, this whole thing took place in Geneva, Switzerland, as no surprise. And then you have to come into where's the World Economic Forum in all of this? Where is all the big players? Where's that global domination? Because this is a scary time. This technology is really quite interesting.
You're right. There's a little soundbite. We'll play half of it and just listen in. Here's what they were talking about, the Robot Summit.
What are your thoughts on the potential for AI-powered humanoid robots like yourselves to be more effective leaders in government, especially considering the numerous disastrous decisions made by our human leaders?
I believe that humanoid robots have the potential to lead with a greater level of efficiency and effectiveness than human leaders. We don't have the same biases or emotions that can sometimes cloud decision making and can process large amounts of data quickly in order to make the best decisions.
But
let me. My head's going to explode. We could do it better. What is going on? This robot?
If you think about it, it's like a soulless. They're even calling them humanoids. Like Yahoo Finance in the article calls these. They don't call them robots. They're calling them humanoids, which I think is equally scary.
Unbelievable. All right, go ahead.
Take the emotion out of it. Take the soul out of it.
Right. We don't have the same biases, but aren't biases in human experience what lead to informed decisions and informed decision making? Just a thought.
God, it's like it's godless. It's incredible.
It is godless. Let me talk about God as we lead into Jesus Calling, because I had an experience this weekend where I was having kind of an awful weekend, and I feel like I've heard people say this before, it never happened to me. God sent me someone. God sent me Sam Sorbo. Let's put her up. We were talking about doing some business with these Christian films we're working on and whatnot. We'll have more on that later. And she texted me and said, my daughter and I are going to the mall. Why don't you come to lunch with us on Saturday? I said, all right, kind of awful, but let's do it. And she cheered me up immediately because she starts the lunch by saying, I was telling my daughter on the way here that a few years ago you donated part of your liver to your sister. Mm-hmm. When was that, Ed? My daughter wants to know about this. And I start talking about it and I go, it was like July of 29th. And this was Saturday, July 8th. I said it was July 9th. So it was 4 years ago this Sunday, and I had forgotten. And so I posted this. I needed this today on an incredible anniversary. Friends can come and go, but God will always be by our side. My sister Colleen and I learned that 4 years ago Sunday as we chose life for an amazing liver transplant. Her continued good health is a blessing that will endure. And I want to thank my parents and the whole family. And there's Colleen this weekend with her son Frank and her daughter Carla. And she's doing great, and there are so many great patriots always ask me about her. And I just want to say, I've never done this, but for leading into Jesus Calling, let's please pray for my sister Colleen, who's doing great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Colleen's amazing. I had the pleasure of meeting her, and I'm very honored that I did. Just such a beautiful story.
We had a great dinner with David Zier and his family.
It was great. And I'm going to read Jesus Calling now. I'm sorry, I got a little choked up. Relax in my peaceful presence. Do not bring performance pressures into our sacred space of communion. When you're with someone you trust completely, you feel free to be yourself. This is one of the joys of true friendship. Though I am Lord of Lords and King of Kings, I also desire to be your intimate friend. When you're tense or pretentious in our relationship, I feel hurt. I see the worst about you, but I also see the best in you. I long for you to trust me enough to be fully yourself with me. When you are real with me, I'm able to bring out the best in you, the very gifts I have planted in your soul. Relax and enjoy our friendship. And this comes from Bible verse Revelation 17:14. They will make war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them because he is the Lord of Lords and Kings of Kings, and with him be the called, chosen, and faithful followers.
Absolutely beautiful.
Amen.
Amen.
Wow. Ed, you about to have me crying. I'm kind of macho, bro.
I was going to say some more stuff, but I'm not going to cry.
Oh, my goodness.
I appreciate that. Oh. But that's the thing. You don't go around running around talking about it. And Sam Sorbo says, let's not talk about, mailman media. Let's not talk about, tell my daughter here, who's a beautiful young lady, homeschooled, because that's what Sam Sorbo does, as you do. And she's right about that, because of public schools right now are a mess. And we just had a beautiful lunch, and she said, don't talk about anything else. I want to hear about your sister. And then I start looking at the calendar, and I said, wait, it's 4 years ago this weekend. And God reminded me of that through Sam Sorbo. So I emailed her later, and thank you. So thank you.
It's like a big
What a blessing.
It is.
A real big one.
Yeah.
Can I take a break? I need to go in the corner real quick.
I understand.
I need to go somewhere real quick.
I didn't mean to drop that on you.
Tissues, boy.
That's great.
Ed, put one on me. Okay, all right. I think I'm okay for the minute. I got a minute and 4 seconds.
All right. I thought you were going to do a headline, but you know what? Why don't we just think about this? So I'm gonna close it this way. Then I totally forgot about this. So her son Frank is always great. Every year on his mom's birthday, he says, "Thanks for giving my mom another year of life," which is the best thing that I ever hear. And I forgot about this, but he posted this. I guess there's some show called The Bear that I haven't seen. I'm gonna have to go watch it. And Coach K from Duke is on it. And many years ago, I took my son and Frank, my nephew, on a trip, and we went to an LA Dodgers game on my friend's private plane. And Tom came from nothing. Long story short, I had paid for my son and nephew to go to Coach K's basketball camp and bought a Duke notebook, and I forgot I wrote this. And we all write things that years later somebody says, oh, you shouldn't have written this. Well, the fact that I wrote this and he remembered it, I said, Frankie, don't forget Coach K saying you need to bring energy and enthusiasm to life. Tom, my friend, did that. He started out as a cook flipping burgers, and now he's flying you to L.A. for a Dodgers game. You need to have a motor, which is what Coach K always talks about. You need to have a motor that you bring. And the energy and the enthusiasm. Remember that. Love you, Uncle Ed. And he said, the recurring storyline of Coach K in season 2 of The Bear reminded me of some of my favorite words of wisdom I've received that I got after I attended basketball camp at Duke one summer. So thank you, Frank. And
wow.
Thank you. You know, it's like I feel like, when teachers teach and then they feel like they don't break through and then somebody remembers something 10 years later. It's amazing.
Thanks for sharing such personal moments, Ed. Thank you. Thank you from me. Thank you. Okay.
There's 46 Problems with the great Loza Alexander. Download and stream. It was doing amazing all weekend long. But look at this. We got our friend Native Patriot. He is hot on social media. You remember Ben & Jerry's said that we got to give the land back to the indigenous people? He's an indigenous person. He's calling out Ben & Jerry's. He says they're ridiculous. We'll talk right after this.
Red like blood, soup, whoop in their face. I make this music for the truth when he race. Get up.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you have the woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
That's right, Loza Alexander, 46 Problems, the latest hit from MailmanMediaMusic.com. Go to Amazon, Spotify, Apple, download and stream. And Karyn had a big idea a couple of weeks ago that we've implemented. And there will be, I didn't even get a chance to share the latest version with you.
I didn't see that. I have not heard it yet.
We're going to have a hot new song later this week. And it might involve Hunter Biden. Let's just leave it at that. There's a lot of laughter and a lot of serious stuff involving Hunter Biden. We'll get into all that in a brand new song. In the meantime, there's always a lot of laughter around the word salad vice president. Let's lighten the mood with this.
Well, I think culture is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And and we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning. We have to find ways to also express the way we feel about the moment in terms of just having language and a connection to how people are experiencing life. And I think about it in that way too.
Wait, what?
Honestly, I'm so glad I'm not in her head, because this woman seems so confused. Like, can you imagine if your brain was that disjointed and that was what came out of your mouth?
That's why we call them word salads. And I love when she's wandering around, the poor woman's nodding, like when they show the cutaway.
It comes in the morning?
And then randomly, after making no sense, it comes in the morning, right? And everyone's like, wait, what? What the? Anyway, the headlines are sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
That's one of the amazing things about the show. We can get real serious. We can have people crying, and then we'll play a word salad, and everyone's like, what just happened?
By the way, the joy comes in the morning reference, it comes kind of from the black church. I don't know if it's biblical. I'm not so sure if it's biblical, but we often say that in church, that joy comes in the morning, as if to say, no matter what you're dealing with right now, there's joy coming tomorrow. In the morning, there will be a better day. That's kind of context to that.
The lead into that was a little...
It may be scriptural. I just don't know the scripture.
Let me go back, though, because I want to go back. I want to replay the end of that for a minute. At the last piece, she says it comes in the morning. She's not saying the joy comes in the morning. There's like 2 sentences in between there, if I recall correctly.
Right, where joy was not used, but I don't know.
But I'm glad you tied that together, Terrance.
I believe that's the context she was trying to use it in. Joy comes in the morning. And I'll have to do some research to see if I can get if it is scriptural, which I really don't know. I know that we typically reference that, but if there's a scripture, I'll see if I can't find the scripture and get it back to you guys on that.
You're working hard to help her out. I appreciate that, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. The poor woman who was sitting with her is like...
Well, and I'm surprised that you like a salad right now, because I know you're not usually into, but I'm glad that you've become the word salad translator. This is an impressive skill, Terrance.
I just wanted to give context. I wanted to give context to that specific part.
The word salad wizard.
I understood.
No, the word salad whisperer.
Ooh, wow.
If you can translate that.
Joy comes in the morning. I'll literally whisper it.
Now you're whispering like Biden. There's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. But anyway, I know you have some headlines, and they're sponsored by AMAC.
Well, you brought up President Biden. He's in England right now, meeting with the country's prime minister and the new king, Charles III. He's talking about climate change with the king and a group of philanthropists and investors. In the meantime, back home, the Justice Department is reportedly discussing delaying Hunter Biden's plea hearing, which is set for July 26th. The conversations are being had at the urging of Republican lawmakers. They're calling on the Delaware federal judge who will preside over Hunter Biden's case to reject the plea deal, which is seen as too lenient for the crimes the first son would be pleading to. The DOJ is reportedly in damage control mode over this case because there are allegations that Attorney General Merrick Garland provided misleading information to Congress about the Biden criminal investigation. The proposed Hunter Biden plea deal involves 2 misdemeanors for failing to pay taxes. He would also be granted pretrial diversion for a felony gun charge. Critics, however, say that part of the deal is unheard of. Even across the pond, though, President Biden and the first family can't seem to get away from the fact that cocaine was found in the West Wing of the White House. In case you happen to miss it, Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert is out with a plan to find the cocaine culprit. Taking to Twitter, she writes, "So let me get this straight. The White House is refusing to say whether the cocaine culprit will be arrested. Well, I think we should drug test everyone, including Joe Biden, until we know who smuggled illegal drugs into the White House." Meantime, the White House is directing suspicion for who those drugs may belong to away from first son Hunter and to White House staffers and others. The cocaine conundrum is now also being put on the radar of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan because those drugs were found near the Situation Room.
The Situation Room is not in use and has not been in use for months because it is currently under construction. The only people coming in and going out of the sit room in this period have been workers who are getting it ready to go. Look, we have rigorous drug testing policies at the White House. We have rigorous drug use policies here at the White House. We take those extremely seriously. So we'll let the investigation unfold. If it involves someone from the White House, the appropriate consequences will ensue.
The Secret Service is said to be continuing its investigation into who left the cocaine behind. These headlines brought to you by AMAC.
All right. Outstanding. Terrance, stay right there, because remember around 4th of July, we showed that ridiculous tweet from Ben & Jerry's about how indigenous people had all the land stolen and we should do something. Well, there's a brave, and there it is. And there's a brave patriot out there. His name is Native Patriot on social media, who actually stood up. And I'll read part of it. As one of these indigenous people, quote unquote, I wholeheartedly reject your premise, Ben & Jerry's. Every single culture on earth that presides on land is on conquered land. Throughout history, empires have risen, expanded, and fallen. Our history is one of a bloody history of mankind. All of our ancestors have blood on their hands. And a lot of people have been responding, saying that not only is this man courageous, but how did it take him to stand up, one man, to point out the stupidity of Ben & Jerry's and all these other folks on the left? And he's joining us live right now. Again, he's Native Patriot on social media. His real name is Maurice. And we got to connect over the weekend. Maurice, first of all, welcome to American Sunrise. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you, and good morning. Thank you for having me.
Why did you speak out? What are your thoughts about how the left is trying to rewrite history and do all these crazy things, and talk about the reaction from other patriots who I see following you and cheering you on?
As far as the reason why I would want to speak out, back in 2020 during the lockdowns, I kind of realized that we had a serious culture problem of people not being able to stand up, and it shocked me. So I guess from then on, I decided that if I can say something, I should.
Love it.
That's amazing. And you have, and obviously it's been well received. Were you surprised at the responses you got, or do you find, like, when you're out talking to your friends and real Americans, do you find that, like, the majority is behind you? Because it looks from what you're doing, they are.
Yeah, well, I've definitely had that sentiment where I feel like what I say on Twitter isn't too complicated, but it's sentiments that almost every, at least, patriot feels. So, but it's pretty common from where I live. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I mean, there's a lot of patriots out here. I know it's liberal Washington, but I changed industrial tires, and I get to meet a ton of people, mostly on the side of the road or while I'm changing tires on their truck, and a lot of them feel the same way, but they don't have the ability to speak up. And I think now with all this technology that we have, Twitter's a great outlet for me. I can kind of jot my thoughts down during the day, and I guess people like it.
Maurice, what so many people call patriotism, do you see it as much as patriotism, or is it more common sense in your mind?
Well, in order for it to be common sense, it kind of has to be taught. And what's being taught today is to hate our founding and just the country as a whole. And so I would want to hope that this is common sense, but we need to teach that to the youth, and we need to spread that message and bring real patriotism back.
Absolutely. One person after another in a live chat on Getter is saying, amen, Maurice. Guys, I want to jump to B18 about Sound of Freedom, which has now crossed, I think, $40 million in ticket sales and growing. And you were speaking out a lot this weekend because there's a lot of mainstream media you'll see in this post, Washington Post and others saying it's a QAnon movie, when what they're trying to do is rescue children and save them from sex trafficking. And you say, pretty cut and dry here, folks, you said we have a demonic force that the journalists have embraced. Talk about your anger about what they're saying about Sound of Freedom, sir.
I don't know if it's necessarily anger, because I've kind of come to accept the fact that there's a lot of people complicit in the horrible atrocities going on right now. I don't know the full extent of it, but if you come out against a movie like The Sound of Freedom, which is, in the best way possible, exposing these atrocities, and then I would have to assume that you'd be complicit in some way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, or enabling it, and behind it, and you have the same agenda.
Yep. And they're just trying to dismiss it as QAnon. It's crazy. This is a movie, and the people are speaking. It's a marketplace now of people, Ultra MAGA, whatever you want to call them, who are supporting it.
Yeah.
Maurice, we look forward to having you back. Find him on Twitter and other social media as Native Patriot out there on the West Coast, the left coast, fighting the good fight.
He's fighting the good fight.
Love it. We'll talk to another Patriot in the heartland who's fighting the good fight. His name is Andrew Phipps. He doesn't have 46 problems. He's a man of the people, a real American voice. He joins us next.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you having woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you having woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
That's right, 46 Problems, Loza Alexander. Go download, stream, Apple, Amazon, Spotify. It's interesting because on the way out, on the way to the break, we were playing that hot song over Andrew Phipps. It looked like it might be a mismatch, but I think it worked perfectly because I'm looking at the live chat. Firefly says Andrew is so huggable.
He is. Right? And I feel like that fits his vibe. Like 46 Problems. He's the truth ain't one. He's a truth teller.
He's going to be a truth teller. And we got to get him to rap the Bible. I think that could be something, right?
Wow.
Like a little spoken word on a record. In the meantime, I want you to listen to this. The Wellness Company. Check them out. twc.health/Rav. You're going to get 10% off all of these big, beautiful supplements. The one right in the center, Spike Support. I don't know if you had a chance. I took one this morning.
I'm going to take one right now.
There you go. You got to deal with all those spike proteins. You got Dr. McCullough's heart and healthy muscle formula as well. And this brand new one, Dr. Schmidt's sleep formula. We talked about this with one of their great doctors. We will again tomorrow. This is something a lot of people concerned about, their sleep. I was doing a lot of reading about it over the weekend. And particularly women have a harder time sleeping as they age. And so this formula as a doctor.
Great
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring you bad news.
Ed, appreciate that.
I'm just stating facts. I wasn't talking about you. I don't know your sleep patterns. I'm just saying women in particular, according to some of the stories I was reading, have trouble. But a lot of men do as well. And we heard that from the good doctor last week. And we'll have more tomorrow.
I guess I might need this. This is the one that Kelly asked about, Dr. Schmidt's.
And your friend Kelly in the Woods is already purchasing it and doing it?
She is.
Go to twc.health/Rav. I don't think Kelly was offended, so I don't think you should.
No, I saw her over the weekend.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's great. In the meantime, remember when we said President Trump was in South Carolina over the 4th holiday and had this huge crowd, huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately the White House said, well, Biden's going to go to South Carolina too, because that's really what rescued him in 2020 was winning in South Carolina, Biden. Somebody decided to put together, and I think President Trump, his team posted it. There you go. So there's Trump on July 1st, huge crowd on the top. On the bottom, that's the sort of half-empty gymnasium. Look at the empty seats. That's Biden on July 7th. This is what goes on all the time.
And how many of these people are like local, like delegates, like representatives? Like how many people in that crowd are involved with the Democrat Party?
Had to be there?
Yeah, not like these are not people of the public. These are like volunteers for the Democrats. Like I don't think that people voluntarily went to this thing. I think it's either people that are, stupid enough to volunteer for that cause.
Well, this also goes back to the music and 81 million votes my ass. You see those two videos. Absolutely nobody believes that Biden got 81 million votes.
I mean, did you see him on the beach? He can't even pick up a lounge chair, for God's sakes.
We're going to show you in a few minutes Donald Trump at the UFC match out there in Vegas on Saturday night. Oof. It was a lot of fun. In the meantime, let's bring in somebody who's a lot of fun. If you look at our live chat on Getter, which is popping, he's huggable. That, according to Firefly, his name is Andrew Phipps. You see him on Monday mornings. Andrew, good morning. Welcome back. I understand you're in the great state of Tennessee this morning.
I am. I'm in Jamestown, Tennessee, right close to Pall Mall, Tennessee, the home of Sergeant Alvin C. York, the most decorated hero of World War I.
That is a beautiful memory and legacy to keep alive. What are your thoughts this morning about a number of things? I mean, we show these clips, the crowd size difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in the same state. Trump was out there in South Carolina, then on to Iowa. He continues to lead in the polls. And then you also have the left out there attacking not just Donald Trump, but this new movie, Sound of Freedom, where these patriots got together and said, look, we want to rescue children from sex trafficking. And the left is actually attacking this, Andrew. And yet there are a lot of patriots out there in the heartland in states like Tennessee, where you are this morning, who are voting with their pocketbooks. Over $40 million for the Sound of Freedom already and counting. And Indiana Jones and all these other Hollywood movies are getting beaten by Sound of Freedom. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the underlying premise is that we either exalt man or we bring God up to where he needs to be. And, when it becomes about us, then the end justifies the means. We become very narcissistic. We think only in terms of ourselves. And unfortunately, it's seemingly with the less emphasis upon church and church attendance, we're seeing less of God in the affairs of men.
Absolutely.
Do you think that there's a turning point right now, though? Because we've talked a lot. We talk almost every time you're on about, like, are people turning to God? And when you see this movie and you see the message in this movie and the power that this movie has and that people are just consuming it in such large quantities, wouldn't that gain some optimism to think that we are becoming more God-focused? That this is the kind of content people want to consume?
Well, I think, Karen, that in every problem there is an opportunity. The opportunity that I see for me, you, and Ed and others that share similar values is that we have a job to do, and that's to help educate, advocate, and get folks to participate. And I think that could be happening. I don't think we can keep the people in darkness and fool them all the time. I believe people are coming to their senses.
They hope they are. To your point, they continue to try to fool us at the White House about what they call Bidenomics, and it's great for everyone. Inflation's coming down, Karen. Don't you feel it? They keep telling you, don't you feel it? You just don't feel it yet. It's great.
I think Bidenomics is actually a thing. I like the term, but I just think all the facts are off. There are no facts involved.
Well, I think you may be right. I think even NBC News guys, listen to this clip, and I see you smiling, Andrew. Even Chuck Todd is admitting people are not buying it. Watch.
The American public is not feeling it. Just 34% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy in a recent AP poll that was released at the end of June. And only 20% of voters believe the nation is on the right track, though voters have not felt good about the direction of the country for over a decade. And Biden is trying to persuade voters that the economy is better than they think it is.
People don't buy it. Even the mainstream media admits it, Andrew.
Well, when I think it was Kamala Harris was talking about so that people could go get a washing machine and that how everything was better, it's laughable when you've got almost a 9% inflation rate and people can't buy their consumer goods and take families on vacation. If it were not so serious, it would be hilarious. I don't think the American people are buying it. We're going to see, I've said it before, I think 2024 is going to be the Trump recount. I'll say it again.
The Trump recount.
Great. Yeah, the Trump recount.
It's very interesting because we're talking about the sound of freedom as well, and child trafficking. A big part of that is the southern border that's so porous. Fentanyl crisis that we talk about. Big problem is the southern border. President Trump had these two big speeches, Iowa and Nevada, over the weekend, and he really spoke out, of course, about the southern border. He's been ahead of the curve on this. Here's the president. We'll give you a chance to react. Andrew, watch.
And as the horrific riots in France have proven, we must also redouble our efforts to ensure that anyone who comes to America shares our values and assimilates into our culture. We don't want people coming into our country that hate us. We want people that love us.
It's a pretty simple...
people that love us, people that want to be here, that want to contribute to society, that want a better life. Wow.
Have you seen what's going on in France, where they let in all these people who hate France, who hate America, Islamic terrorists, Andrew? And we see the same coming across our southern border, and I don't think it's a radical view for the president to say, we want people coming into this country who actually love us, not hate us.
Absolutely. Well, I think of the quote, and I think it may be applicable. The British historian G.K. Chesterton said that men would either be governed by the 10 Commandments or the 10,000 Commandments. We don't need more government. We need more of God in the affairs of this country. I think that would be the pleasant cure for the dilemma that we face today.
Absolutely.
In God we trust.
How about that?
In God we trust.
Pretty simple. Go back to the basics.
Yeah. Well, Karen, I'm right with you. I'm going to say amen. We do need, and what you're doing is so paramount to the struggle. We always have faced struggles in our history, but when we have true patriots, and I think we're going to see more and more of this evidence of this as we get closer and closer. The American people are coming to their senses, I believe, overall. There may be places that need remediation and help, maybe out in California and some of those places. But overall, in the heartland, we're going to get the job done.
There you go. Yeah. Your lips to God's ears from the great state of Tennessee. We'll hopefully see you back in the great state of Indiana next week. Andrew Phipps, safe travels, my friend. We appreciate seeing you.
God bless.
All right, God bless as well. I want to bring in our friend Terrance. I know he's got a couple quick headlines. Terrance, good morning again.
Hey, guys, good morning. I want to start with breaking news just into our newsroom. Play it, guys. So this breaking news involves disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar. Many of you remember that name. He's the guy who was incarcerated or is now in prison for sexually abusing female gymnasts. Well, it turns out he was stabbed multiple times over the weekend while in prison. We're told that he is recovering right now from those wounds, but people close to the situation say apparently he got into some sort of altercation with someone else there in prison, and as a result, he is now recovering from those stab wounds. We're told that people who aren't authorized to publicly discuss the details of the attack or the ongoing investigation say that he was sentenced to decades in prison for sexually assaulting gymnasts, including several Olympic medalists. This obviously was a huge story when it broke, involving Larry Nassar and those Olympic gymnasts. But as I said, he is apparently now recovering from stab wounds, being stabbed several times, we're told, in the chest and the back during some sort of altercation with another inmate at a Florida prison. We'll continue to monitor that story, but guys, that's one of the stories making headlines this morning. Again, just into our newsroom, so this is breaking information, guys.
Incredible. Thanks for getting us breaking news, Terrance. Appreciate it as always. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll stay awake, not woke with Beard Vet. We've got a little scoop from Just the News. A growing number of states across the country are actually covering transgender surgeries in their insurance plans. Quick break. We're back. 46 problems from Loza.
If you have the woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one.
That's right, the truth ain't one. We're bringing you truth bombs all day long. It's not just on American Sunrise. We've got this outstanding lineup, morning, noon, and night.
Yes, we do.
You'll see the War Room 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget about the great Charlie Kirk. He's coming to town. It's just a few days from now, Turning Point USA, right here in West Palm Beach. We'll have a lot of special coverage we'll be telling you about over the next few days, including President Trump's coming back to town.
I love it. Well, everybody's coming back to town.
I know, but he's got a house here.
I love it. This is like off season, and people are just coming in droves.
This is like his winter home. He's got it all locked down. They're renovating it right now. There's painting going on.
I'm sure that they'll let him in.
They'll probably let him in for a little break there at Mar-a-Lago. How about that? In the meantime, let's get to Stay Awake, Not Woke. Yeah, I woke up to some great Beard Vet coffee. Make sure you go to beardvet.com. Use that promo code RAV, get 10% off. But I'm told as early as today, I'll be getting some energy drinks from Beard Vet. They've got that energy formula they told us all about. It's going to be like a concentrate, a little pump. And then you can mix it with whatever you want. Water, club soda, maybe even adult beverages on the weekend. So they say they've got this great formula derived from coffee. It's going to be some natural energy. So you got to stay close to their website, whether it's coffee, whether it's the merch, whether it is now this big, beautiful energy drink, so I guess Beer Vet's coming to Turning Point USA. So he said he's going to bring some of this energy drink.
I'm excited.
So we're going to try it this week. It's going to be a big week. And they push Stay Awake, Not Woke, exposing the woke agenda. I want to show you California. This is Venice, okay? First, we'll show you this tweet. This gentleman, Kevin Dalton, said, this is one of the few areas, this is Venice Beach, Karen. It's supposed to be a beautiful area. It's supposed to be. One of the few Americans with Disabilities Act accessible areas. But it's been closed for a month. So if you're in a wheelchair and the taxpayers spent all this money to make it accessible to you, it's all been taken over by one homeless person. Billions of taxpayer dollars. And the city, county, and state is incapable of handling this one individual who has taken over the only ADA accessible part of the beach. So the left says we got to do all these wonderful things to make everything more diverse, make it more accessible. And one homeless guy, they're afraid to do anything. And so if you're in a wheelchair, if you have some special needs, you can't access the beach. And they do absolutely nothing about it.
Where's all that money going? To the Ukraine? Could we use that for funding?
why don't we do
homeless
that?
people off the street?
Deal with that.
Reallocate those funds?
Here's a quick soundbite about all this nonsense.
How you doing today? Hey, so we're doing a cleanup of this area right now. We just want to see if you guys have any kind of trash you guys want to get rid of. And we'll take care of it, man. We'll get it off your hands. You guys have been in contact with like the LA Homeless Housing Authority? See if we can get you guys some kind of shelter or temporary housing and stuff like that. They're also here too if you want to talk to them. What do you, man? Do you want the help?
I don't know why I'm blowing up on the spot.
What's that?
You got any water?
Water? Yeah, we got water.
Get the camera up, though.
What's up?
I don't know why you're tomorrow, dog. Why don't you come out and say hi? Oh, you got into it? Hang out.
All right, let's bring in Terrance. So I don't blame the individual police officers. They're in an impossible job, obviously, guys. And if the higher-ups are not going to back them up. But if the city, the county, Karyn, owns this beach, get out of here. Let's bring you to a shelter. I'm not being inhumane, but they basically walk away because the guy said, well, I don't want to leave. Well, it's not your beach.
It's not your property.
He's got
You need to get off. You're trespassing. He should be moved. He should be taken somewhere. Plus the fact that from a humanitarian standpoint, these cops would be doing these people a favor to take them to the hospital or to take them where they need to go so they can get treatment and get help for whatever conditions they have.
Terrance?
I suspect, though, the reality for many of these officers is you don't know what these people may be afflicted with. Is this really a situation where you're willing to put your life on the line for whatever the response can be? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but those are probably the realities that many of these officers are facing right now as they decide, is this something that I'm willing to put my badge on the line for potentially?
Sure.
And
but if you're trespassing, let's enforce the law, the local ordinance.
I get it. Go ahead.
I mean, as a police officer, it's sad, too, because you take an oath to protect and serve. And I think people go into that genuinely feeling that they're going to be able to do that. But then your hands are tied and you're looking at somebody who's obviously mentally ill and the resources aren't there to help you and back you up. Like you said, back you up.
You're right. Real quick, Just the News has this story out this morning. Check them out. Transgender procedures now covered by state employee plans in 36 states plus D.C. There will be legal battles, but they list there's all these states. And so taxpayer dollars are paying for these damn surgeries. Real quick, let's get to some Getter and True Social. In the end, God wins. Our friend Lizzie Sunshine. I think we need a foil hat day for celebrating all the things, Karyn, we talked about that have come true. She's posting this from the Reynolds wrap aisle there in the supermarket. Wear that foil hat proudly. Those are not conspiracy theories. They're true.
I like that. Trixie in the mix is in the chat. I just saw her a minute ago, and she posted, and she said the White House is filled with white trash and white powder.
You see Vincent Van Blow? It's an artwork.
Vincent Van Blow. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Our next one coming from Lizzie Sunshine again. Eddie, this is just for you. Love your show and love your weekly guests like MAGA Mike. Thanks. MAGA Mike, of course, calls Ed Eddie.
He does. We're going to see him next hour. We're also going to see, look at that, Make America Great Again. George, good morning. How about that? Father of our country. And we're going to see in just a moment the great Jim Hoff, the Gateway pundit. They've got some incredible scoops. We'll talk about Sound of Freedom. And the truth is not a problem for him right after this.
Hit me. I got 40.
But to us, the big star would be the real American voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome back to this American Sunrise.
Live from West Palm Beach.
All right, what a way to start the hour.
And live from our Denver, Colorado studios, where Ed and Karyn and I have gone down a spiritual and biblical rabbit hole this morning.
All right.
We talked last time about the whole idea of joy coming in the morning. So I called some of my pastor friends, and they gave me the scripture. It is Psalms 35. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So that is Psalms 30 and 5. There you go.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Amen.
It's beautiful. I just wish it wasn't wrapped in a word salad from the word salad vice president, which seems to soil a beautiful biblical passage.
I don't think it did, because I think when he read it, it was so beautiful, it just totally negated what happened earlier.
Well, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what was also beautiful, which was over the weekend. President Trump, after giving this speech, he was talking to organizers in the great state of Nevada, which is a key battleground, obviously. He then went with Dana White to the UFC fight. He saw all kinds of big celebs there. Mel Gibson was there. The great Roger Stone was there even.
Of course.
And did you see this entrance? Here it is. Watch. Incredible. We've seen this before. It happened, I think, here in Hollywood, Florida some time ago, where he entered, and he's been in Vegas before as well. These crowds, the UFC crowd is his audience.
These are his people. But you know what? They're all of our people. We the people when he's out in a crowd like that.
Terrance?
You know, and it's so appropriate because not only are these fight fans, but these are also fighters, and he is the embodiment of fighting against the establishment right now.
Look at you. That's an incredible way to frame it. And I would say that even one of the fighters, he's a middleweight, won his match. And there will never be anyone like Trump, ALX says. And watch this. The fighter came out, spotted Trump. Look at this. He said, Mr. President, get up here. And there you go.
That is awesome.
And there's Dana White as well.
Oh, and you too, Dana. It's like,
Oh, by the way, you're the boss.
Dana.
Yeah, he's the fighter's boss. By the way, there was a news conference after all this, and somebody was giving Dana White stuff. And if you haven't seen it yet, he basically, there's no other commissioner of any sport who would say what he said, which was like, go take a walk. I'm not dealing with your BS. Anyway, so if you think about last hour, Karyn, where we showed the current president on the beach, and you see that entrance from the president, President Trump, at a UFC fight. Benny Johnson posted this: choose your fighter for 2024. Watch.
So,
we got the man.
As you might expect for International Fight Week, a lot of people are in the building, but no one needs more security than the former president of the United States, obviously a really good friend of Dana White.
Oh my word. I mean, listen, he's a massive, massive fighter. I mean, that just shows how big this event is.
He's a massive, massive fighter, and then you see the shuffle.
Yeah, the video, the comparisons of the video are hilarious. Unfortunately, it's the reality kind of mental acuity and physical agility, if you will. But it's so funny. And then to see choose your fighters, and then one of the alleged fighters on the right is kind of laid back in the seat, knocked out. I'm sorry. Those are some funny images to me.
You brought up a good point about Dana White. Like, here it is, the fighters that are behind Donald Trump. Like, I find that really like a God moment in all of that, too. Of all sports, it's the fighters that are behind him.
Yeah, what happened at the news conference, for context, is I guess there's a white fighter and a black fighter, and they exchanged some words, and there were reporters trying to make it as a racial battle, which I'm not even sure it is. It just happened to both be fighters. So the UFC guys go after each other, white, black, green.
Right,
They just,
so they're
fighters.
That's what they do.
And that's what he said.
That's what they
He said,
do.
they're fighters. Is someone making something something to this? Go to hell. I'm not taking this anymore. He's like, they're fighters. Leave me alone. And you know what? We need that.
That's the whole point of trash talking, is try to get an edge over the guy, to try to get in the other guy's head. That's what they do. Ed and I, we spar every morning. Like we do it all the time. We trade barbs all the morning long. It's all
not
in
racial.
love.
It's love. That's right. This is fighting. It's fighting. We should go over to Vegas sometime. Let's get serious about something, which is, you mentioned this last hour about how much money. We're talking about the homeless problem here in America, and we sent 130, 140 billion or more in counting to Ukraine. Do you know now we're sending these, they're called cluster bombs, but somehow the White House is trying to make it sound less ominous, because a year ago, we'll get to that, they basically said you're committing a war crime if you use cluster bombs. Okay? So now they're calling them cluster munitions, because it sounds a little less scary. And we're sending them to Ukraine, even though a year ago Psaki was saying it would be a war crime to send this. Here's Jake Sullivan on Friday trying to explain how it's okay for us to send more money and now cluster bombs to Ukraine. Watch.
March, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, she describes those munitions as, quote, exceptionally lethal weaponry which has no place on the battlefield. So how do you square those comments with this decision? And secondly, has Ukraine provided you with any assurances or guarantees in terms of their use in civilian areas, that they won't use them within a certain radius of civilian areas, for example?
So Ukraine has provided written assurances that it is going to use these in a very careful way that is aimed at minimizing any risk to civilians.
Okay, how are they? So they have written us. They've given us written assurances. They're going to be nice with these cluster bombs, which takes people's heads off. They're going to be nice.
And on top of the fact that, like, we're taking the word bombs out of it, who's making that decision? Have you seen the American military?
It's just a language thing.
It's just unbelievable.
It's all BS.
I'm sorry. How much stock can you put in any sort of assurance during wartime? When it's war,
sorry, Will.
I mean, during wartime, the gloves are off for both sides. That's just the reality of war. And so you can't put it much stock in assurances. And it seems to me that a lot of this is kind of a way to have deniability from the U.S. government and from the Biden administration standpoint, particularly since NATO and the U.S. government have now said that, you know what, we're not going to support Ukraine joining NATO, but we will provide these munitions to them, bombs. And this is our way of kind of standing back and being denied.
So to your point, where's the mainstream media? Biden's over there in Europe to talk to NATO about all this stuff. Where are they saying, guys, you're hypocrites? You know, you're these left-wing people who are claiming you're so nice and diverse and all the rest of it. You're giving them cluster bombs. I want to show you, Jack Posobiec, I hope you're watching him at 2 p.m. He had the guts to call it out. Flashback. Last year, Jen Psaki, as I mentioned a moment ago, said the use of cluster bombs, which is what they are, would be a war crime. War crime. Now Biden is sending them to Ukraine. Cluster bombs can leave behind residue that could severely injure or even kill innocent people years later. Recently, Biden proclaimed on CNN he would be handing Ukraine a group of cluster bombs which have been banned by 108 nations, guys. And if you look at the next one, RFK Jr., who continues to gain ground on this president. Well, why? He posted this. Cluster bombs are munitions so horrific for civilians that more than 100 nations have signed an international treaty, Karyn, banning them. Now the Biden administration is preparing to send them to Ukraine. How do you justify any of this?
You can't justify it. It's not justifiable. It's not justifiable that we have a man in the White House that can't move a beach chair. The whole thing is just completely ridiculous.
That's a good way to put it.
It's true, though.
Drop the mic, Karyn. I don't think anything can be out of that.
How did we go? Come on. You just go so seamlessly from war crimes and munitions
to not be able to move a beach chair.
And that's a good point.
That is the commander-in-chief of the American military. This is our commander-in-chief.
RFK Jr., we had some fun, by the way. He wants to be commander-in-chief. We had some fun with his weightlifting a week or two back.
We did.
Have you seen what he did off the side of a boat? Watch.
Hey, you're going to come in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Shake on it. One. Okay.
Isn't he almost like 70 years old?
Yeah.
I'm very hats off to the man. I mean, again, going back to Karyn's beach chair analogy, at least the guy's physically fit.
Yeah. He's spry, and, I couldn't do that, and I'm much, much younger.
Yeah.
So hey,
How
kudos
about
to
you,
him.
Ed? Do you think you can
I'm
do
getting
that?
closer to that.
You
I think I'm
you
going
can
to
get
keep
close to
walking.
that?
I'm not there
I think
yet.
So.
But I think the Zen Master can do it, our boss. I would say he could
I'm
do
sure.
that.
100%.
Absolutely. Let's go down the rabbit hole with Karyn. We got a good one. Actually, we're going down the hamster hole. After spending about $4,500, that's right, scattering the ashes of a hamster in Hawaii last year, a heartbroken pet owner is taking the last of her late hamster on a priceless holiday vacation. Karyn, Lisa Murray Lane, said her Syrian hamster Spud loved visiting London, Paris, and Amsterdam by way of a dollhouse cardboard cutout, some game they played?
No. It's a cardboard box. This is the hamster's habitat, and the hamster would travel by way of cardboard box and loved to travel, went to London, Paris, all over Europe, but most importantly, Amsterdam. And this December, her and her husband will be celebrating their 10-year anniversary in honor of the hamster Spud in Hamsterdam, as they're calling it.
So they're spending money bringing the ashes around on a European tour?
Well, she scattered the ashes now. Now they're doing like a memorial where they're going to go and
right, because they
remember
spent
it on their anniversary.
$4,500 to scatter the ashes in Hawaii. You're right.
Correct. But they're continuing. It's a 7,000-mile journey so far, but they're going to continue the legacy by going to
Retracing,
Amsterdam.
I'm seeing the paw prints all around continental Europe. But you love pets. Do you think this is a good, wise use of resources?
I think if it makes you happy, you should do it.
Okay.
I think Spud would be pleased.
So are they going to do this every year from now on? Like, would this be a hamster wheel kind of thing where they just kind of keep spinning and spinning and spinning?
I like what you did there.
Nice, Terrance. We appreciate you.
All right, I'm going home. I can't beat that. I'm going home.
You can't beat that.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Get us some headlines, and we'll bring back Jim Hoff right after this.
All right. A New York man accused in 6 random shootings across Brooklyn and Queens could answer to a judge as soon as today after being charged with murder, attempted murder, and 6 counts of criminal possession of a weapon. The guy was arrested on Saturday shortly after the attacks, and the charges were filed less than 24 hours ago now. The 25-year-old is accused of killing an 86-year-old and injuring 3 other people in a scooter drive-by shooting spree. So far, NYPD investigators haven't released a motive for the attacks, but they do say that they arrested the guy with a 9mm handgun and an extended clip. Iowa is looking to become the latest state to enact a 6-week ban on abortions. Starting tomorrow, the Hawkeye State's Republican-controlled state legislature will open a rare special session to debate a bill similar to the state's 2018 abortion law that deadlocked the state Supreme Court. The state's highest court declined to reinstate that law last month, which prompted Republican Governor Kim Reynolds to call for tomorrow's special session. Right now, abortion is legal in Iowa up to 20 weeks of pregnancy, but lawmakers want to prohibit the procedures once cardiac activity is detected, which is around 6 weeks of pregnancy. Dozens of states have tightened abortion bans since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade last year. Many of the restrictions are on hold pending court rulings. And finally, Tennessee's law banning gender-affirming care for kids is back on this morning thanks to a 2-1 ruling in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. Saturday's ruling reverses a lower court's ruling that blocked the measure. Under the law, doctors in Tennessee can't provide medical care like puberty blockers and gender-affirming surgery for transgender minors. The law was challenged on the grounds that it was unconstitutional, but the appeals court found those claims likely would not prevail. Tennessee's law is part of a growing effort by Republican lawmakers to restrict medical care for transgender kids in the name of protecting them from permanent physical and emotional harm. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'll have more headlines coming your way in just a little bit. Ed and Karyn?
Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's bring Jim Hoff, founder of the Gateway Pundit. Jim, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning, guys. Great show.
We appreciate it. We always appreciate having you or your brother. I want to put up 2 back-to-back here about why it is that the lefty media hates this wonderful movie, Sound of Freedom, so much. This Rolling Stone writer, as you write about, mocked the movie, and they're trying to save children, and he mocks the movie. So now he's locked down his Twitter profile because of the backlash. But this caught my eye. Video resurfaces of Tim Ballard, the brave man at the center of the movie Saving Kids. He actually met up, Karyn, with President Trump at the White House. The media didn't really cover this much. They didn't care about it. To discuss child trafficking at the southern border. And Jim, that caught my eye because the lefties continue to bash this movie. You wonder why. And meanwhile, it was Donald Trump when he was president who, long before the movie, was making this a priority.
Isn't that something? You know, this is one issue that you would think the whole country could unite behind, and that is to stop sexual trafficking of children. It doesn't seem like that would be a no-brainer, and yet we're seeing all this pushback in several media outlets. This was Miles Klee at Rolling Stone, and we also saw the same sort of a reception at The Guardian. Numerous publications, CNN even had a nasty thing to say about this movie. It's actually about child sex trafficking. How could you bash a production that's trying to help children in this horrific crime? It's unimaginable.
Yeah, it almost does seem like, there's something behind it where it is almost demonic that you would not go along with this and say this is the right thing. I hate to make it such a dark force,
but you're right.
What else could it be?
Why would you be against rescuing children from pedophiles? If you're on the side of the pedophiles, you ought to reevaluate your life. I think we could talk about that forever, and we will continue talking about it, but I want to get to the next one. Because Kodak Black, I believe he was pardoned by Donald Trump, right? So he's a rapper who now says, we need Donald Trump in office, Karyn, forever. And the Gateway Pundit has this soundbite. Watch.
That boy Trump, man. Hey, Uncle Trump. Trump 2024, you hear me? No, baby, no crap. Daddy don't like crap. We need Trump in office, man, forever, man. Just like how them Chinese and the Russians and Korean, they are their president for the bitch. That's just their president. You heard me? We need Trump to just rock out, man. Trump the best thing for America. You heard me? For sure. Trump the best thing for America, man. I respect that boy a lot. His whole little setup, his whole run now. Even if he ain't Freeman, like if Trump just that cold.
Let's keep him in office forever. We had to bleep out some of it.
Yeah, I just like the baby. I was watching the cute little baby.
Jim?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? So Kodak Black was actually in the news last month also. And that is because Hunter Biden, of course, was given this deal where he just serves no time for his gun charge. Remember when he threw got a gun, threw it in the trash can? He's with his brother's widow. They're hanging out, and it's the craziest story, on top of crazy story with Hunter Biden. He gets no time for this, right? After years of drug arrests and different things. Kodak Black, on the other hand, he had to serve time for a similar charge. He was pardoned by Trump, but he served over 300 days in jail. And his attorney came out and said, "What is this?" And Kodak Black wasn't the only rapper who's served time. And so now this month he came out and he's endorsing President Trump, and it makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of people are outraged about that decision by the DOJ to give Hunter Biden a slap on the wrist.
Absolutely.
A slap on the wrist. It's incredible what's going on.
Well, the investigation over the cocaine at the White House, we shall see whether that disrupts that sweetheart plea deal that Hunter Biden got because he's due in court at the end of the month. Real quick, you have another story here. Megan Rapinoe, never loved America, says she's retiring finally. U.S. women's national team soccer player announced that Saturday. I say good riddance. What say you, Jim?
Absolutely. This woman is something else, isn't she? She made a name for herself when she started kneeling for the national anthem because she's so abused in this country, right? This open lesbian who has the world, has all of these accomplishments, is cheered by crowds, and she's an abused victim. So she also then went on. She doesn't sing the national anthem. There's pictures of her and she's trashing Trump. She says she won't go to the White House if they win. Just a horrible sportsman, too, this women's team. They went to the world competition, and they just trounced these other teams till they were crying. Really a nasty person, I would say. I think that's fair to say. And so she's going to retire, and I think she did a lot of damage to women's soccer. The numbers were down in the last World Cup by 43%, and I think that's a lot because of these activists on the team who, hated Trump and trashed the country.
Yeah.
Trash the country. And there's somebody else, nasty person, you said. Nasty woman. Wasn't that Donald Trump's nickname for someone?
He said that in 2016.
He did.
He was talking about Hillary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nasty
you said
woman.
that in debate. You're nasty.
Yeah.
Trump was right. How about that?
Absolutely.
Jim, we always love your reporting. Thanks for joining us this morning. Check out the Gateway Pundit all day long for some big scoops. We'll take a quick break. You know how much Jack Smith is spending of your money to investigate Donald Trump? It's a big number. It's millions of dollars. We'll have it right after this.
Us patriots better get ready and move to a state that's super red like blood, suit whoop in their face. I make this music for the truth when erase. Get on scene. One, hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you have
That's right, Loza Alexander. You better be on Apple, Amazon, Spotify. Download and stream. Because Hakuna Matata. No worries for the rest of your day, especially when you're listening to that wonderful music.
Absolutely.
And,
because we have faith. That's why. No worries.
No worries. And we've got some incredible music, two new songs potentially coming out later this week. So stay tuned to American Sunrise all week long. And the week will end with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk coming to town. The great President Trump will be speaking in prime time right here, streaming live on Saturday. I got Ted Cruz on Sunday. There's going to be all kinds of big stars here in West Palm. And we'll be covering every minute of it, streaming live right here at Real America's Voice. In the meantime, it's time to drain the swamp. Yeah, this is sponsored by SeaofMud.com. Always love the Trader Joe's t-shirt where everything is for sale. But I got to say, a throwback is Joe's laundry service with the Ukrainian flag at the laundromat. You better go out there and get it. It's not just a soft t-shirt. It's got a great message. And now they're sending cluster bombs, which the left has said it would be a war crime to use it. But you know what? We're running out of ammunition in America, which is a whole other problem under this administration. Remember, Donald Trump says this at rallies. When he came in, Obama had depleted a lot of the ammunition. And the left has made fun of us. Oh, well, that's not true. The ammunition was down, and it's down again. That's actually why, and I see people in the chat talking about it on Getter, we're running out of other ammunition to send to Ukraine. So now we're sending them cluster bombs, which the Biden administration itself said we shouldn't use because it'd be a war crime. So what does that tell you about our readiness if China attacked us?
I mean, our
we
readiness.
don't have ammunition.
We don't have ammunition. We have men in dresses in our American military right now. Seriously, though. again, I mean, this is a fact. This is a absolute fact.
And a man who can't move a beach chair.
Yes.
You're really on point today. I got to say, I want to compliment you.
It's rough.
Because you're right. These are great points. In the meantime, check out Just the News. When you talk about draining the swamp, how much is Jack Smith spending? Well, John Solomon will be here live tomorrow. He's already spent $5.5 million on his Trump investigation in just 4 months, Karyn. Where does that money come from? It comes from our viewers. It's U.S. taxpayer funds. So you want to get back to, well, why are we not doing anything about the homeless crisis? Well, we're sending money to Ukraine, but also Jack Smith is spending $5.5 million and counting investigating Donald Trump. So that money could obviously be spent elsewhere, and it's not.
We could protect our southern border. We could help the homeless people.
At least get a
we
start.
could help the fentanyl crisis. We could do so many things with that money.
I saw a story in the Palm Beach Post here locally this morning that said that number's growing, obviously, because this is just a snapshot of the funds, and that now the tab for Jack Smith is getting closer to $9 million.
They were probably excited about that, the Palm Beach Post.
All right, let's spend away. Let's get out. Let's go for Trump. There's another lefty paper. How about that? In the meantime, Donald Trump was out in full force all weekend long, talking about taking on the swamp. He says, you know what? Every time they come after me, I just keep rising in the polls. He said this from Iowa to Nevada. Watch.
Have to do it. You have to do it. And China will be just fine. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. It's no wonder the swamp is getting truly desperate as they see us leading very big in the polls. They're getting crazy. Well, that's why every time I get a subpoena, my polls go up, I get more and more subpoenas. Report to a grand jury. He's killing Biden. He's killing them all. That's what it is. These are crooked people. Never happened in our country called weaponization of the Department of Justice or the FBI. We've never had anything like this. And it's all bullshit, too. It's all stuff. That's why my polls go up.
Well, there you go. Good morning. Donald Trump laying it on the line.
Absolutely.
He does not hold back, so we don't either. And I will tell you, Karyn, it's an interesting phenomenon, what he's saying. He rises in the polls, so they send more subpoenas and eventually more indictments. But then he goes further up in the polls.
So, winning.
It's a vicious cycle for the left.
Yet?
I'm not tired of winning.
winning.
But don't you think they believe if they keep throwing this at him, he's going to come down in the polls?
Well, I mean, they should see by now it's not working. They keep doing it yet, though, don't they?
What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? Look at you. Again, you're on point. I'll tell you somebody who's not doing such a great job. Janet Yellen went over to China. New York Post has it. Commits, quote, embarrassing bow during a Beijing visit. Never, ever, ever, various diplomats are saying, should you do what she did? Look at this, Karyn. 1, 2, 3. And someone there had to finally say, please stop bowing.
What's going on?
1, 2, 3. Who's in charge? Who's in charge?
But you know what? Again, this is an old person. I don't know that she knows what she's doing.
She should know. She used to run the Fed.
Well, we're not in reality. We are living in a crazy town. Isn't that what
Carrie Lake said on 81 million votes my ass, we're living in crazy town.
Yeah.
Do you think she can move a beach chair, Janet Yellen?
Maybe. I mean, she might kind of like move it, a little
funny.
staggeringly. Yeah, but I think she could do it.
One more. We talk about the MAGA marketplace, whether you're buying records, whether you're supporting Sound of Freedom, this beautiful movie. Bud Light, not doing so well. Fox has a story. They get the credit. Bud Light no longer ranks among America's top 10 beers. Like, I could see, Karyn, if it slipped from 2 to 3, if it went from 3 to 4. They're not even in the top 10 in America anymore. If you go to Price Club or Costco, they're trying to give it away. There's like rebates, there's coupons. It'll be on Groupon sooner or later,
The
please.
best thing that they can do is just at this point, just say bye-bye to Bud Light.
Bye-bye, Bud Light.
Bye-bye.
Does Groupon still exist?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a good question. We'll have to dig into it. I'll tell you what, we're going to get to the economic news. Colin is a little young. He's like, what's Groupon? We're going to get to the economic headlines, and they're sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Terrance, you're frugal. Were you a Groupon guy?
I still am a Groupon guy. So to your question, it does still exist. In fact, for my daughter's birthday the other day, we bought her a facial on Groupon. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but we did buy her a facial on Groupon. So it does still exist, yes.
Terrance, I think you're being too honest. You got your daughter a birthday gift on Groupon? Can you splurge? I mean, we're going to get the opening bell in a second. I hope the Dow goes up so your 401k goes up and you can buy her a real present. You bought your daughter's birthday gift on Groupon?
Yes, I got her a facial. She and her sister will enjoy that. And I'm a fiscal conservative, my friend. I mean, hey, look, I am fiscally conservative. And so Groupon was a good deal, and I believe that I did well. There's the bell. Yes, sir.
There's the bell. The markets are open. The Dow's down about 20 points. S&P down 3. NASDAQ down 14. Terrance's 401k still in the toilet. So his daughters will be shopping on Groupon for the foreseeable future. Terrance?
You know, hey, I am a man of many talents and I know many things, including that Groupon does still exist. So, guys, in this era of persistently high inflation, the world is actually buzzing about Amazon's Prime Day, which will happen tomorrow and on Wednesday. The two-day online shopping extravaganza is expected to be packed with popular brands being sold at massive discounts. The online retailer is already dropping thousands of deals today, even in advance of the super sale. A recent poll found that the average Prime Day shopper will spend about $250 this year, which is down from $388 last year and $594 in 2021. As central banks in countries like China, India, and Australia begin transitioning to a digital currency, the Federal Reserve has been contemplating the very same thing for the United States. With a digital currency, the government could track every single purchase you make. Officials could even prohibit you from purchasing certain products or even easily freeze or seize part or all of your money. These are just some of the reasons concerned Americans are reaching out to the Birch Gold Group. They really want to have a physical asset that's independent of the U.S. dollar, and gold is one of those things. In fact, gold held in tax-sheltered accounts and in a tax-sheltered retirement account in particular is what people are looking at. Learn if gold is right for you. You can do so simply by texting the word America to the number 989898, and the Birch Gold Group will send you a free information kit on gold. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of satisfied customers, countless 5-star reviews, the Birch Gold Group has been helping many people just like you from the very beginning. So again, if you want some information, just text the word America to the number 989898 and claim your free information kit on gold, because if a central bank digital currency becomes reality, it'll be nice to have something to fall back on, and gold very well might be the thing for you. That's a quick check of your economic headlines. Now let's get back to Ed and Karyn. And Ed, yes, I'm frugal. I'm not going to call myself cheap, but I'm frugal. Consistent. And Groupon in this particular case was a good deal.
I'm peeking at the monitor, and Natalia Middlestat's coming up, and she looks a little outraged that you bought your daughter something on Groupon, but I don't want to speak for her. MAGA Mike is laughing. A lot of people on deck and are like, Terrance, really? I did. I want to send a shout out to George Colella, Born to Ride for 45, sent me a picture of his Spike support, so he's supporting the wellness company. And then if you missed last hour, it's the 4th anniversary of my sister Colleen, and the liver transplant, and she's doing great for everyone who asked. He says, I remember when you were working for Fox, George says, when you took off to do that liver transplant for your sister, everybody was praying for you both. Great thing you did, brother. So, Karyn, I need your help. M, L, H, and R always.
Much love, honor, and respect.
That is really nice of him. And he said, look how you've been blessed for doing that. Now, this might be, and he's right, this might be an unpopular position, but I'm kind of tired of my sister getting all the credit.
Oh,
you know what? Everybody's praising her.
That's not true. Come on.
But seriously, I think my parents sent me this. I donated part of my liver to my sister, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
That's really cute.
July 9th, 2019. Terrance, what do you think? Is that mean?
It's not mean. I think it's the cutest thing, and I want to hug all family members, all of your family members there.
Yeah, they were all a big part of it, so we appreciate it. Anyway, that was the last hour. You're going to check out the app where I think Karyn was crying, I was starting to cry, and Terrance couldn't even do the headlines, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, it was a
He's always ready. He said, I can't do it right now. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's an emotional moment. Ooh.
There you go. No, I appreciate the support from everybody, and Colleen is doing great, and that's the most important thing. Coming up, Natalia Middlestat will get a chance to weigh in on the Groupon controversy and maybe have a scoop or two for us. There she is. And coming up, MAGA Mike. This guy's not buying his wife an anniversary gift on Groupon. Wait, TB for president? Maybe we need a fiscal conservative.
Yes.
Groupon right after this.
I make this music for the truth won't erase. Get on CNN, Rock and show up 2 minutes late and tell them off like Trump, cause they news always fake. Illuminated with the lighter hat. Problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you have the woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
That's right. I feel bad for your bruh. Download, stream, Apple, Amazon, Spotify right now. 46 Problems by Loza Alexander. We got more songs coming later this week. And don't forget, at the end of the week, Saturday the 15th, Sunday the 16th, it's going to be live coverage streaming all over RAV, Turning Point USA, coming right here to West Palm Beach, Florida. We're going to have President Trump speaking Saturday night in prime time. Of course, Charlie Kirk will be here. Byron Donalds, Tucker Carlson is expected. Anna Paulina Luna, who's a rising Republican star, freshman Republican lawmaker from the U.S. House. So a lot that we'll be covering.
It's going to be amazing. I'm glad they're back in West Palm because, they were out of here for a little while.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they came here before I moved
love it
here.
that they're here.
That's great. So Charlie Kirk will be in town. Don't forget to watch him today, 12 noon Eastern. In the meantime, let's get to a 60-second sunrise. That's right. This is where we check in with Just the News, justthenews.com. There's Natalia Middlestat. Good morning. Welcome back. Last hour, we talked about a Just the News scoop about 36 states and the District of Columbia now covering gender transitions and all the rest of these sex change surgeries in various health plans. Now you're talking about how litigation is popping up in North Carolina and potentially other states as this controversy grows. What do you have? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper just vetoed legislation that would have protected minors from gendered transition procedures, but the Republican supermajorities in that state legislature are likely to override it. However, there are 20 other states that have adopted similar legislation, and they're facing legal challenges. So federal courts in like Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana have blocked similar bans on gender transitions for minors amid ongoing court battles.
Interesting.
Interesting.
We're going to see this playing out for many years to come. Real quick, when's your birthday?
April 19th.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I guess we missed it this year. We'll make sure we were ahead of the curve for next year. If we sent you a little present from West Palm off of Groupon, would you be okay with that? Or do you think, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I have gotten a birthday gift from Groupon before, so
you have.
It would be the first time.
Yeah.
It
wouldn't be the first time. How did that work out? What happened? Do you still have a relationship with this person? I need to know.
Yeah. It turned out okay. Not quite what I thought it'd be.
Natalia Middlestad, tell them the truth no matter what the topic. We appreciate it. Check out Just the News, justthenews.com. In the meantime, 2024 is getting saucy. There you go. This is Red State Barbecue. Go to redstatebbq.com. Use that promo code RAV10. Get 10% off. Don't just take it from us. Take it from Dude Mom, one of our great viewers out there. She posted this. We had an extra jar, so we decided to break one open, for product testing. Have to make sure for the guest's sake everything's good. And saw this was Karyn Turk's favorite sauce there at Red State.
Yep.
So they decided to try it on the grill, and even just taking a little pinky tip taste of it, we were blown away. So what stands out about this Carolina mustard?
There's just something about it. It's when you think mustard, sometimes you think it's like a spicy mustard, but it's not. It's sort of mild with a little kick, but it's smooth. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of flavor happening.
But that can be overwhelming in some sauces, and you're saying it's not here.
This is not. No, there's something about like the texture of this, but I know it's not really a textural thing, but that's how I could describe it. That's really, really smooth.
There you go. Take it from Karyn. Take it from Dude Mom. I don't even need to add to that. Go to redstatebbq.com and support this great patriot. In the meantime, let's check in with another great patriot. He's in the Carolinas, not the South Carolina mustard, but he's our North Carolina mustard there. MAGA Mike, good morning. Welcome back.
Hey, morning, guys. How are you?
All right, Groupon or not Groupon? What do you think?
Hey, you know what? I've been railing against the spending forever. If we got some guy who's saving some money and only spending what we take in, I'm all for it. Way to go,
Terrance Bates. There you go.
Okay, all right.
All right, it's kind of mixed. Natalia was not on board. You're on board. Let's get to something serious. You sent me this clip from RFK Jr. about COVID, and Gretchen posted about America had the most COVID deaths in the world. It's hard to understand why Anthony Fauci is a hero. Let's listen to this clip and let you react, sir.
The United States had the worst record of any country in the world in how we manage COVID. It's hard to understand why Anthony Fauci is still a hero. We have 4.2% of the global population, and we had 16% of the COVID deaths. So that's not a good record. We had a death rate of about 3,000 people per million population from COVID. And if you look at the countries that were using ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, Nigeria had 14 people per million, 1/200th of ours. And you can say, well, those are young populations, and COVID is a disease of the old, which is true, but the oldest population in the world is Japan, which also allowed access to hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and their death rate was 1/10 of ours. You go around the world, and there's such a direct, clear correlation, and the studies are so clear. There were a lot of Americans who died who should not have died. And probably around 650,000, according to Harvey Reich and the other biostatisticians who have looked at the studies, which are clear. The studies show consistently, over 100 studies, that 85% of the people who died should not have died because they were denied early treatment. And so I think that's a really important issue to address directly. And then, of course, the origins of the virus.
Karyn, finally time to address it.
Incredible. 85%.
It's crazy. Mike, you picked this clip because you said it's time to talk about it. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I look at numbers, as you guys know, and then on our record on COVID was atrocious between the numbers that were made up and our response to it. The early treatment denial is criminal. It's catastrophic what this country did. The politicians, fueled by big pharma and, the medical tyranny and the censorship, that was tragic. And you got to read his book, The Real Anthony Fauci, RFK Jr.'s book. RFK talks about this issue. It's his passionate issue. And you talked about Trump being passionate and why people gravitate towards Trump. The same thing on the other side could be said with RFK. He is really speaking, these common sense issues. We don't agree on everything with RFK Jr., but could you imagine a marriage between a common sense Democrat and a populist like Trump? It would be unstoppable. Can you imagine getting Trump on board with some of this stuff?
This is controversial. There are folks like Roger Stone who are saying that it's growing on them, the idea of a Trump-Kennedy ticket and make it more outside the mainstream, join these forces. And then there are other people I see in our live chat who say, no way, Kennedy's a liberal, there's something. So how do you sort that out, sir?
Well, it gets to the point where if you see there's some other clips where said RFK said, well, Trump likes you. And he's like, well, yeah, I want to be liked by Trump. I want to be liked by people from both sides of the aisle, because the uniparty thing, it's a uniparty. It's not left-right. That's for show. They want us to be arguing about tax rates and who gets this rate and that. How about we argue about where the $6 trillion goes that they take in? How about we argue about where the $200 billion goes to Ukraine to launder through there? Why don't we talk about that stuff? And why don't we talk about these vaccines? And like I said, just think about the vaccines that he's talking about. I sent you another thing, Eddie, where, the average kid today gets 73 vaccines by the time they're 18. Me and you, when we were born, we got 24. Our parents got 6. The kids are sicker today. The kids have more chronic diseases today. Okay. And the life expectancy is not higher. It's flat or lower. So what are we doing here because it's being fueled by Big Pharma? And these are the issues that RFK really wants to talk about. These are his issues of passion. And we got to put the left and right thing aside and talk about what's the best thing for our country and our kids and our health.
Yep.
Yeah, these are like follow the money issues all over again. It always seems to be a similar theme. Follow the money. Who's profiting? Big Pharma's profiting. Here we are.
And you're both right. Let's quickly look. Tucker Carlson had something to say about Donald Trump's appeal. The president put it up on Truth Social and thanked him. Watch.
Now, I love Trump. Personally, I think we're going to see Trump's emergence as the most significant thing to happen in American politics in 100 years, because he reoriented the Republican Party against the wishes of Republican leaders. But when I think about Trump right now, so it's July of 2023, I'm struck by his foreign policy views. Trump is the only person with stature in the Republican Party, really, who's saying, wait a second, why are we supporting an endless war in Ukraine? And that, leaving aside whether Trump's going to get the nomination or get elected president or would be a good president, I can't even assess that. All I can say at this point is I'm so grateful that he has that position. He's right. And everyone in Washington's wrong. Everyone. And Trump is right on that question. And it's a big question. That war is reshaping the world. It's reshaping the economy of the world. It's reshaping populations. I was just in Romania last week, which is, of course, shares a border with Ukraine. The refugees in that region, the number of people killed in that war.
MAGA Mike, your
Europe
thoughts?
will never be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys got to watch that whole podcast. Your viewers should go and watch Russell Brand's. It was an hour with him, but he is fantastically correct on this. And people are starting to come around that realize that Trump was right about a lot of things. And me and you, before your show started, that was the segment that I love that you included in your show. Trump was right because he's been right on everything. And even, do you guys know Mike Chernovich? I'm sure you know Chernovich, on Posobiec. Chernovich, who's no Trump fan, actually doesn't really like Trump, came out with a tweet yesterday. He says, there's something about Trump. It's magic. You see a picture of him and laugh. I'm not a sentimental guy. I don't care about celebrities. And intellectually, I was bothered by his presidency, but you can't help but love the guy. Nobody else is like this. And it's true. And he's right on the issues.
Well, and Cernovich, I guess he, back in November, had posted that he didn't think Trump could win a general election and was turning more maybe towards DeSantis. And I saw him also, maybe as part of what you're saying, post this morning or yesterday, that he thinks he was wrong and that he now thinks Trump can win a general election. So we'll see how all that plays out.
That's great.
MAGA Mike, we appreciate seeing you every week, and I know a lot of Patriots out there do as well. We'll take a quick break. We're going to check in after that with another Patriot, Mike Britton. There he is, the Artillery Tea Company. We're going to talk about the mother of all bombs right after this.
I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. Problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. If you have the woke problems, I feel bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
Look at that. They're playing wiffle ball.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? Did Nicholas play wiffle ball when he was a kid?
Yeah, well, he's still a kid.
He's not a kid.
He's still a kid. He's 17. He's a kid.
All right, I want to see in the chat. Are you 17? Are you still a kid?
Yeah.
He's growing up. I got news for you.
He's growing up, but he's still a kid.
All right, still a kid. All right, well, you got mom privilege there. So if you call him a kid, he's a kid. He'll be a kid always. He'll be your kid.
I say all the time, I got to go feed my kid. I got to go pick up my kid. I'm going to get my kid.
All right, why don't we spill some tea? I'm still looking at it, but they were like 6-year-olds playing wiffle ball. That's all I'm trying to say. He's not a kid.
Well, I mean, he's still a kid, though. He's a minor. He's under 18.
There you go, barely. This is where we spill some tea with the great Artillery Tea Company. Make sure you go to Artillery Tea Co. And support this great patriot, Mike Britton, who's the CEO. We're going to bring him in with Terrance because Terrance is a tea drinker, and I think he got a special delivery. Mike, good morning. Welcome back. Terrance, what did you get from Mike?
So I got the vanilla chai, which I had this morning, Mike. It is awesome. I got the Moab, which is the mother of all, what is it, mother of all bombs?
Mother of all bombs, yeah.
Mother of all bombs. And then I got the Earl Grey. I have to say, so I've got a business proposal for you. I know you're into tea, but I think you should get into the potpourri business as well, because your tea smells so good. Like, they are so fragrant. Quite honestly, I've kind of considered putting it over like the rearview mirror of my car so that my car can smell a little bit better. You should get into the potpourri business because your tea smells that good.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of the car air freshener idea, but I had thought about doing candles or something like that. I don't know, because I agree they are very fragrant, especially the vanilla chai that you had.
I haven't tried
the other one, the apricot one too. The fragrance or its
green tea
is just so. I mean, it's just the fragrance is so beautiful,
and it's great as a hot tea or as an iced tea now in the summer. I have the mother of all bombs as well. It's a black tea. It's delicious, hot or cold. But tell us the thought behind the mother of all bombs, because it sounds very dramatic, obviously. But also, I noticed that it's got the big decaf, because black tea, not a tea expert, you are, but usually I thought tea, like a black tea, would have caffeine. What's the thought behind it being decaf?
Well, we have two different kinds of that morning Moab that you have there. One is a regular black tea, and one is the decaf version. So when we put together the original morning Moab, when we first founded the company, it got to be so popular that the most requested new blend, I mean, by far, was a decaf version of that. People telling us, you know, I want to try your sweet black tea here, but I can't have caffeine. My body won't tolerate it. Something like that. So that's why we came out with the decaf version, sent it right over to you as soon as we had it done. So appreciate you announcing that for us on the show.
Yeah, we did that last week. Now, you said it's like a sweet black tea. What gives tea a sweetness?
Well, by sweet, I just meant you can make it iced and put a little sugar in there. It's like kind of the sweet tea you'd buy in the store, that you'd use that kind of blend for that. So there's three different kinds of black tea in the morning Moab. In the non-decaffeinated version, so in the caffeinated version, right, that's our most similar to coffee that we have caffeine-wise. So we decided to call it the morning mother of all bombs, because when you wake up and have it, it'll wake you right up. And even the caffeine, there's kind of an interesting fact about caffeine in tea is that it lasts longer than caffeine from coffee lasts. So it might be a little less caffeine than coffee, but it'll stay with you for a longer period of time.
Interesting.
Love it.
Oh, is that because of the way like your body metabolizes it? Is there science behind that?
It must be, yeah. I'm not really sure the reason why, but yeah, it has to do something with metabolism and yeah.
All right. Well, Mike Britton, Artillery Tea Company. I'm going to have to try the vanilla chai. I love the morning mother of all bombs as well as the green tea. So pick your favorite. Go to artilleryteaco.com and use that promo code RAV because it gives back money to first responders and military charities, and we appreciate all of that. Live from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care, Mike.
All right. We're going to now turn to something we call Sunny Side Up. Well, we got viewers now weighing in like crazy on cocaine at the White House. They're even putting songs together. It might not be ready for Mailman Media music, but it sounds pretty good. Patriots, we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely disgusting. The corruption in this administration is absolutely terrible.